Portal and Premonitions of a Digital Influencer. Her report is very interesting. I will read and explain what we're doing. My childhood was not easy emotionally, and I believe because of that, I mentally asked to be taken away or asked God to kill me and take me to another place. I used to ask this frequently. It is a heavy topic to talk about, but I will be 100% sincere in everything I have experienced. It always started well before I was 6 years old, but before that, I don't have many memories. I can only remember for the feeling itself. I haven't seen my dad since I was 5, and my mom says he was crazy, that he used to put coins behind his ear because ETs wanted to communicate with him. She also says that he drank a lot and used a lot of drugs, and it all makes sense now. We have studied since the beginning of Acontarium about this paranormal and alien subject that she reports here on her relationship with her father. To explain this distancing, in the Pisces era, you couldn't have two paranormals in the same family. Why couldn't you have two psychics or paranormals in the same family? Because that would end up developing telepathy, developing mental faculties that were forbidden to develop in the Pisces era. That ended in 1997. But the energy of this era continued to this day, as we mentioned on the live stream on April 22nd. Due to this world crisis that we are facing now because of the coronavirus, it has been abbreviated. So this species influence that's supposed to last until 2045 has been already minimized, has been already cut. And that's why there was a distancing between her and her father, because both are psychics, abductees, and the era of Pisces didn't allow both in the same house. So this is the reason of the distancing. On other cases, having two paranormals in the same house could even cause the death of one of them. We have many courses at Acontarium, and you should look for these studies to understand the origins of the Pisces era and the difference between the Aquarius era. So let's continue. Every night, I felt the need to look at the sky and search for shooting stars. Sometimes I would even wait for them to appear, and it was always there. I remember that I always woke up in different places in the room, usually on the floor, next to the bed, on the floor, under the window. Well, what happened was you were abducted. The ETs have seconds to act here on Earth when they are in contact with one of them that is incarnated here due to the magnetism interference. That's why you woke up out of the bed, on the floor, in the corner of the room, or under the window. And how come you fall off the bed and didn't wake up or didn't get hurt? It is because you were taken and brought it back. That's what happened. Continuing. I remember that when things got tough, I would hide in a closet, under the bed, anywhere to get to another dimension. And sometimes I would enter the dimension even with my eyes open. In school, I was an introvert, didn't talk much, and my colleagues were sometimes malicious. So I was able to access these other dimensions without necessarily going into a state of meditation. So this is what happened. Why do people meditate? They meditate to reach other levels of consciousness, to master senses, feelings, body, and mind, and to access other levels of consciousness. And why don't you need to meditate to reach these nirvanic states? It is because you carry on experiences from other lives and even other worlds you lived in. Within the current practices that we are doing in Acontarium, we can help you access this ancient memory and bring it to the present time. And you will have thousands of years of consciousness, memory. I have 10,000 years of memory, and you will not stay behind. We just need to pull it out and unlock it, because what you can do without having practiced meditation in this life only top yogis can reach. And it is because you have experienced it from other lives. That's how we explain what you can do. Continuing, I remember there were nights when I was very afraid to sleep alone. I was terrified, and I had many nightmares about reptiles, to the point of having any reptile trauma. If I saw a lizard, I would go into shock. I got it over today. But I don't know if these nightmares are connected to the reptilians, a race that I studied about them recently. You and the reptilians. Actually, I believe you have contact with another beings. They are far away from the earth. I believe you have contact with the Antarians. But you were studied by the reptilians. What happened is that you ended up being object of studies for the reptilians, who are a majority here on earth. The Antharian technology is 9,000 years ahead of our time, and the reptilian technology is, let's say, about 1,000 years ahead of our time. And reptilians also study Antharians abductees on Earth. And I believe that you were the object of study by the reptilians to see your connection with Antharians. This is what I can say at the moment. I advise you to deepen your studies of cases that we have in our UFO courses. Reptilians, like everyone else, they are good and they have bad reptilians. Also, there are good and also bad Antharians. You had contact with the good ones in a part of Antharians. In fact, you were an Antharian who disincarnated here on Earth. Your soul was trapped. You incarnated in a human body, and that's why you feel the urge to leave the Earth so soon. Your reincarnation case is more recent, so that's why your desire to leave is bigger. People who reincarnated centuries ago in the same conditions are used to live here on Earth. The era of Aquarius and Aquantarium allows when you disincarnate, your soul can return to your original world or even beyond. This is Aquantarium's philosophy. We are here to rescue those people who had their soul trapped to return to their worlds. But the problem is that when they are incarnated here, sometimes have problems with ancestors, with saints, orishas, with semi-gods, even problems with the magnetic, which is your case, that interferes too. What I'm explaining here requires dozens of hours of studies. I'm trying to summarize it. I advise you to take the courses that we will make available online or visit one of our temples whenever you can. Let's continue. I also remember always seeing a lot of reflections, as if there was a transparent veil moving around. I even mentioned about it with those who visited my house, explaining that the transparent veils gave access to other dimensions, many different places better than the earth, without even having any knowledge about the subject. Very interesting. What you call the veil is what I describe on a live stream as the supine time, which intermediates one dimension to another dimension. Between the third and the fourth dimension has supine time. Between the fourth and fifth dimension has the supine time as well. The supine time, as you described very well, is a veil that involves all dimensions, and through the veil opens portals and dimensions. It is through the fourth period that we can operate the future, and you can navigate through them since you can see this veil. It is easy for you to learn how to navigate in the supine time. It is easy for you to manage the future. And for that, you need to have training, and soon you will be ready. You just have to start training and study. It will be really, really easy for you. She continues, sometimes I thought I was not from this earth. I was absolutely sure that I was only here for a while and would soon go away. I used to think that I would be stuck here until I was 17 years old and then disappear. You have many thoughts about leaving or disappearing, but what happens is you are here in a human body. You will have to live a normal life. Try to live here in the best possible way, being a good person. So when you disincarnate, your soul doesn't stay here and incarnate in your place of origin or in a more advanced world. You're here because you disincarnated from a mission. Whoever disincarnate on Earth on a mission ends up getting stuck. Try to study our courses at Acontario. Let's go back. When I became a teenager, I wasn't able to see the portals and veils anymore. Well, why couldn't you see the veils anymore? It's because you lost contact with the supine time. And what happens as teenagers, the life of a teenager, the body of a teenager, hormones of a teenager anchors ourselves here on earth. And that's why you lost contact with the veils. But if you already had contact in the past with the veils, it is very easy to get it back and learn to work with this veil to change your own life. Continue. I've always felt that I have very strong link with the spiritual side, but since I'm very sentimental and sensitive, it all made me confused, and sometimes I just want to fit and be normal, just like everyone else. And when I'm normal, bad things happen to me. I get too unstable. Yeah, when you try to live a normal life and try to forget the spiritual and paranormal side, what happens? Why do you get unstable? This is her question. Why does your life goes out of track? It is because your mission has everything to do with this spiritual and paranormal side. So my advice is that you have to learn to discipline your life. You have to dedicate a weekly time to the spiritual studies. It can be one night or afternoon out of the week, and you will have your life back on track. If you don't dedicate to the spiritual life, you won't have a stable life. It's simple like that. Learn to discipline your life and dedicate to the studies that we offer here at Acontario. She continues, now in these last 3 weeks, I have felt a call to the ufology. That makes sense. And that's why you got here. That's why you contact us. She reports how long she has been looking for ways to find answers. Her report is very long and we are summarizing. She went through several rituals. She looked for several paranormals. She also mentioned about a very loud engine noise. Let's read. When I woke up, I could hear a loud noise, like there was an aircraft over my house, and it was like this for about 40 minutes. I always had sleep paralysis, but I never heard that noise before. And since then, every night I hear it around 3:30 and 5 a.m. And I have been dreaming that several spaceships are arriving, and I have felt the need to share this with everyone. And unfortunately, there are very skeptical people totally unaware of this subject. Well, these noises that you are hearing are interferences from the magnetic world, these dreams as well. So these noises are interferences from the magnetic world to cut your contacts with the ETs. And then she says here that she had contact with a medium that told her that these contacts and with these beings are bad. And she says that she strongly feels the opposite, that they are good. And she's right. These beings are good. What is bad is the magnetic interference. This is, I'm saying, just to clarify. She was